A long time ago, Dr. Richard Gallagher, who is an academic psychiatrist, him and his wife were in their bedroom sleeping one night when all of a sudden Richard awoke to his two cats screeching and clawing at one another. He looked at the clock and noticed that it was 3 a.m. in the morning. He ran into the other room to see the two cats fighting and going crazy, which was not normal for his cats to do something like this. Richard was forced to separate the two cats and put them in separate rooms, then went back to bed. He was very puzzled by their strange behavior. The next morning, a priest who Richard was friends with knocked at the door. The priest had a woman with him. She had jet black hair and she had this eyeliner that stretched all the way back. The woman looks right at Richard and her first words out of her mouth were, "Well, Doc, how'd you like those cats last night?" Now keep in mind, Richard and this woman had never met before. This woman, who went by the name of Julia, who she claimed to be a high priestess of Satan and that she was possessed by these demonic forces and she wanted to seek help. This remarkable case was among the first of many that Richard would encounter. Really, this was the one case that elevated his career in dealing with people with demonic possessions. Now, Julia would experience a series of behaviors that, as Richard would say, a once-in-a-century possession, from speaking in languages that she had no idea of how to even speak them, to allegedly levitating for over half an hour during one of her exorcisms. There were things being thrown across the room by this invisible force, along with her telling Richard things that she couldn't possibly know, such as saying that she knew how his mother died of ovarian cancer, which was true. One time he was on the phone with one of his friends who was a priest, and it was just the two of them, and a third voice came into the call, and it would say in an unearthly voice saying that,
"Leave her alone, you idiots. She is ours."
Richard was like, "Hey, did you hear that?" And his friend, the priest, told him, "Yeah, evil spirits can even interrupt phone conversations." Julia stated that she knew she was possessed. Julie would later tell Richard during a consultation that she would space out and couldn't recall what was happening. She would go on to say that she wouldn't remember anything during these events, and she knew it was a demon. During one of these episodes that she was going through, she would have superhuman strength, where 5 people had a very hard time keeping her held down during these exorcisms. This exorcism on Julia was done in June, which during that time was extremely hot, but to everyone's surprise, the room that they were doing this exorcism in was quite cold, which this is somewhat common when dealing with demonic activity. 2 exorcism sessions were carried out, but the results ended up in failure, as they were unsuccessful to cast out the demons that possessed Julia. The sessions were suspended by Julia's request, beaten and bruised going through these exorcisms, which is the physical attack by these demons that were possessing her body. We don't know when or if they will ever be carried out again. That does it for today's story. Hit that thumbs up. Until next time, God bless.